The government is banking on railway transport to bring down the cost of goods as well as improve connectivity in the country. In the past, the focus has been on a standard gauge railway system, but now there's a renewed focus on the old meter gauge system. What is the game plan? Joining us on Inside Government is Philip Mainga. He's the Managing Director of Kenya Railways Corporation. He's going to explain to us what is the game plan, what is the intended investment in all these, and what we expect to see at the end of the day. Thank you so very much indeed, Bonabi, for joining us. I mean, not far away from here, I mean, when you cast your eyes, you see a lot of redevelopment that is going around, at the central railway station. Give us a sneak preview of what exactly is happening.
Okay, thank you, O'Brien, and thank you for this interview. Now, when you look of Nairobi Central Station, it is the heart of our operations as Kenya Railways. We do operate several routes within the city of Nairobi. Some of them extend to the larger metropolitan. What we are doing as Kenya Railways and through the government is to rehabilitate the entire 220 kilometers that encompass the city of Nairobi in terms of the metropolitan area. We are innovating, and the government is keen on seeing a newly redeveloped Nairobi Central Station. We could be like an hangar and a central operating unit for the railway systems. And therefore, we are rehabilitating the entire station, modernize it to national standards. Simply because if you look at what we are doing, we are about to bring some new equipments, operation equipments, in line with what the government wants to change in Nairobi, to have a system, a mass transport system that can decongest the city of Nairobi, a mass transport system that will enable Kenyans to come and work from all areas within the city in a convenient, efficient manner. So what we are doing is we have built new stations within the Nairobi area, 10 new stations. We have 4 existing stations that have been in operations. We are integrating all these stations to form a complete network in Nairobi, plus others that are going to come up later, to make sure that Nairobians can travel in and out of this city to their places of residence without any problem. So what are we doing? First of all, is to rehabilitate the tracks. And this means our network goes all the way to Nairobi-Kikuyu route. We are rehabilitating that route and later extend it to Limuru. We are rehabilitating the route from Nairobi, Syokimau, at the river, Konza. And we are doing a lot of work and almost 80%, 90% complete. And we also rehabilitated the lines from Nairobi all the way to Ruiru, where we have several stations that have come up. But of importance is we are doing a very new line from Nairobi to Embarks village.
Embarks village?
Yeah, we have uprooted the old line. We are now doing a new line that will connect Embarks village, and that line will service the airport.
JKIA. Very well. Give us a sneak preview of what everything will look like, apart from a new, fresh coat of paint.
Now, what is going to happen is we're going to have equipments that can move within 5 to 10 minutes, almost across the network, or 20 minutes.
And when you talk about equipment, you're talking about
diesel multiple units that are about to reach this country the next 1 week or two. And what we mean is a system that is modern. When you get in there, it's clean. You have automated ticketing system. It's cashless. You don't need to pay cash. You just have to buy your ticket and use that ticket across the system. And the idea here is for the future to connect this cashless ticket with BRTs and buses, which Kenya Railway also intends to have in future. But for now, the connectivity between every station, we are going to ticket all our stations so that whether you ride from Ruiru, Dandora, Mwiki, Kawa, Githurai, Embarks Village, Kikuyu, you just come in, you pay, you buy your ticket. It allows you to get into the station. It allows you to get into the train, and then you move to your destination. It will also allow you to exit. That is the system we are developing for Nairobi Commuter Rail. And that integration is what I've been lacking. So what we expect Kenyans and Nairobians to do is to make sure that from their residence, if you are coming from Syokimau, if you are coming from the river, and you are coming from Kitengela, you can just drive for about 2 kilometers, come and park your car in the river station where we have lunch parking. We have also developed parking yards for our commuters. And this is what we call park and ride. Instead of driving your car with a lot of inconveniences, a lot of jam along the route, you leave it there, you board the train, come to work, ride again in the evening, go to the station, pick your car and go home conveniently. At the same time, we expect other modes of transport to be connected to those stations, railway stations. For example, you could have some buses that will be feeding our stations. So that if you are coming from Machakos, you just need to be brought to the river station. Then you have a last mile by train to come to work in Nairobi Central District. That is the arrangement we are making here. Yes.
The plan that you're talking about has been discussed before, and it has been long time coming. This was the same plan that was being discussed in the year 2012 when the Syokimau railway station was launched, and I'm talking about something that I was there when I saw. And that is 8 years down the line. You know, a number of stations were supposed to be constructed. Look, the population of the city has been growing, and it has grown by more than 1.8 million people since then. Have we retweaked this plan in cognizant of the fact that the population in 2012, in 2010, in 2009, when some of these plans were being mooted, you know, is accommodative of the current status of transport industry in the city of Nairobi?
Yes, thank you for that question. Look, daily we move around 30,000 people within Nairobi area. That someone goes to almost 100,000 or 300,000 people per month. What are we looking at now? Moving 3 million passengers per month. Modernizing these systems, modernizing our infrastructure, recognizes the growth that has taken place within the city. Now, during the day, people move with, in and without, both residents and people coming out of Nairobi, about 80 million. In a night, those guys who sleep around Nairobi now, I'm going to about 5 million to 6. When you have an influx out of the city and you ask the residents, you need to look at the balance. Who are the travelers? First of all, you look at what you are dealing with. We have been dealing with about 4 million people. But because of the commercial interests in Nairobi, during the day, you have more people coming in town and out of town compared to what we were some 5-10 years ago. So the system we are implementing recognizes that, and it also recognizes the infrastructure that we currently have. We are looking at a system that will move from Ruiru, take the backlog of the commuters, remove a bit of those cars from Suba Highway, and bring all those passengers, all those commuters to Nairobi Central Station, have them distributed by BRT buses or other means of transport all over the town. That means when you are building Thika Suba Highway, we also projected an easement of transport. But has that changed? No. In fact, let me say, as Kenyans, the infrastructural development is being overtaken by the population and the people around those commercial areas, those urban areas. And therefore, we need to rethink our strategy. And that's what Kenya Railway is doing now.
And this has always been the discussion. Look, when you travel around the world, and I'm talking about big metropolis, I'm talking about like the city of Tokyo, there is the city of New York, the city of London, Seoul in South Korea. All these cities, were developed because of the railway system. Nairobi is also a similar case. And when you look at the railway infrastructure in Nairobi, it has remained underdeveloped for quite a long time. It is only now that we are thinking about, how to reawaken the sleeping giant and how to ensure that we move people from point A to point B. And the question is this, because there is always a very slow turnaround of projects in this country. What are we doing to ensure that we accelerate the project outlined under the Nairobi Commuter Railway Master Plan?
I don't want to preempt anything.
Well, you're free. You can go ahead.
I can assure you the government at this time is very serious, and the government has a very serious strategy. Give us and give the government 1 month. We are not talking of 6 months, 1 year. When you went down there and you looked at what you're doing, is that a change?
There is change, and the question is this. Is this change enough to bring around or to bring about significant change in the way transport moves in this city?
That's what I'm saying. Within a very short time, I don't know, in a month or 2-3 months, you'll begin to see tangible changes in Kenya Railways, and the government is serious. The government is determined. The government has invested, and we are working towards those guidelines that the government has given us. And this time, we are not talking. This time we are acting.
You are acting.
Yes.
We
are taking action. And you need to see it. You need to just walk to Bakas village. Just go to Kenya pipeline. Go to that route and see what we are doing. And that is, the government is serious, and we need to acknowledge this. And while I agree with you, it has taken too long. But then there are dynamics that come with the projects. This is a dynamic that has come in now, and the Kenyans will see this very soon. But it may not be 100% of what you are talking about. But I know the implementation of this project will begin to bring a dynamic change in the city of Nairobi, and then gradually, in the very few years, you will see a big change on what happens in terms of the railway system and the commuter system within the country and the town of Nairobi. Yes.
You're saying that your target is to move around 3 million people around Nairobi in a month once the whole system is overhauled.
Yes.
And once it is operational. And you're talking about a city that has about depending on how you look at it and the timings, we're talking about a city that has between 6 to 8 million people, at any given day. And out of these, you have about 3 million people moving from point A to point B at any given day. And so you're talking about almost 30 million movements of people at any given day. And so when you talk about 3 million people being moved around the train, you're talking about almost less than 10% of this movement.
O'Brien, when you talk of transport economics, there are things that you look at. We calculate how many of these people are housewives, how many people are at home, how many people are students that actually walk on drive, are picked by buses to go to school. Mm-hmm. And we are not the only mode of transport. We have the other sector of buses and matatus doing the linkages between ourselves and themselves.
But is the whole game plan is to ensure that we have a smooth and efficient transport system. And the public service, sector transport in this country is not factored or is not considered as efficient.
You see, for us, our target is a month moving 3 million people during the day. Mm-hmm. This is a fact that we are looking at depending on the dynamics where our locations and our routing system is. We go around and we are saying we have a metropolitan city. We have Kenya Railways lines going all the way to Thika, mm-hmm. Rimuru. We are going all the way to Gom. We are going all the way to Konza. We are going all the way to Embakasi. We are going all the way in different directions. What we are saying is, dynamically, this change will catch up. But we must, first of all, lay a strong foundation. And that is what the government wants to do. We must begin from somewhere. We must offload the number of people who drive on our roads in Nairobi. We must also create an efficient, reliable, clean service.
Very well, and it's good that you have brought about the issue of cleanliness, in the coaches, and you've brought in the issue of cleanliness, and efficiency, and Kenyans, are accustomed to using a train and a railway system, that is number one, old, number two, that hasn't, been painted for the longest time. Are we expecting to see difference in terms of what we see on our railway tracks?
Then of late, if you walk to our systems now, first of all, they are very clean. We have rehabilitated over almost 80 coaches that are running within the city. I can talk of the locomotives, but we also rehabilitated and cleaned our locomotives, and the image currently is very different. Hopefully, when you're in our station, you saw the new coaches that are lined up. Our customers can sit, depending on the numbers. Our customers can hold, those springs on their rails, depending on where they are going, their distances. Currently, we are providing a very clean service, I can say, compared to what it was. But we are going ahead to bring in new equipments in terms of diesel multiple units. And we're going to set up some standards in the transport sector.
In terms of the railway systems. The DMUs, we have heard about them for quite a long time now.
I told you to wait for
well, it's not hard.
Give us a little time. Within a month, I believe you'll be able to see these DMUs in Nairobi in a short while. But what we are saying is, we are preparing for that. We are setting those standards for that. We are innovating and rehabilitating our stations to make sure that our customers can walk in our stations, take a cup of tea, buy a ticket, not just carry cash. They can buy, through our booths and all that, so that when you are traveling in any direction, We are able to use a ticket without being pushed around by our people or by anybody, conveniently, that you can travel from one area to the other, one destination to another. These are the systems we want to set in place. If you go, like you have said, all over the world, transport connectivity is a very key issue, especially in big towns. Whether you go to Beijing, whether you go to Tokyo, whether you go to London, all these areas are covered by good transport system. I think the government here is saying in the planning, together with other infrastructure, to modernize and make sure that our people are transported in a convenient and efficient way, so that even the comfort that you require when you're traveling is there.
It's there. I mean, you talked about, putting up a new line that goes to Embarks village. And I remember when French President, Emmanuel Macron, visited Kenya, he promised, with the collaboration between the two countries, Kenya and France, that France was going to help Kenya put up one of the most beautiful railway network from JKIA to the city center of Nairobi. Did this change 3 years down the line?
Nothing has changed. As you know, O'Brien, one of the things that have affected the entire world is COVID-19.
Well, that came about 6 months ago.
Yeah, yes, that's true. But we still on that deal. It hasn't changed.
It's taken 3 years to implement.
The plans are there, and once they are ready, implementation of the project will begin. But for now, we are saying we still have an existing line that we are using. Remember, even today we are transporting commuters to Syokimau, to Embakasi. We are moving up to Ruiru. We are moving to Kikuyu. And nothing has changed. We are using our existing infrastructure. But modernization is something that is gradual. And that's what we want to look at. Even what we have done ourselves is a lot of work.
When do you plan to have the groundbreaking for the construction of that railway system from JKIA to CBD?
Cannot tell. I cannot give you timelines. But I know when the deal and the progress between ourselves and France is going on. Once it's ready, it's still there. It has not died. Still there. Yeah.
Very well. Last 6 or 7 years, I mean, there was a lot of attention given to the standard gauge railway system, but it seems like now, the concentration now is on the meter gauge railway. Is this change of heart? Is it change of strategy, or what's happening?
Right now, you know, the government initiatives in terms of commercializing and lowering the cost of doing business has to be diversified through transport network. We did SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi, did SGR from Nairobi to Naivasha, and the meter and gauge railway line has been coexisting together with SGR and has been operational throughout. Now, when you look at some of the branch lines that form the meter and gauge, there are arteries where SGR does not go through, but they are connected. There is connectivity between those branch lines and SGR. Look at what now we are doing between Thika, Nairobi, Thika, Nanyuki line, which is now currently operating. We are connecting the same systems here in Nairobi. We are connecting those systems along the route. And the only thing that the government is doing is to open up some of these dormant lines, which were economically viable, and bring them back to support the economy of this country. And also to open up and lower the cost of doing business. Look at what we are doing in Nakuru, Kisumu. That line has been there, and what the government is saying, yes, we need to transport goods and services between Nakuru and Kisumu to connect the main line in Nakuru all the way back to Nairobi or back to Western Kenya. So that connectivity and the integration between meter gauge and the SGR is a very key thing, because you cannot have one specific straight line when you have a diversification or some arteries of this railway system, that can really help inspire the economic growth of this country.
So many things. I mean, when you look at Vision 2030, it talks about the SGR from the port of Mombasa to the border post of Malaba. We know there has been challenges, in terms of funding, but do we still have the plan or the intention of pushing the SGR beyond Mainga?
Let me tell you, the government has opted and gone for a quick win as we plan to go all the way to Kisumu and the Maraba through SGR. The quick win is to have a connectivity between Naivasha and the Longonot by doing a new line, connecting the MGR line or the hot line in Longonot, and making sure that we have seamless operations from Mombasa all the way to Maraba, which integrates both SGR and SGR, and that work has started.
And a lot of people are asking, the rejuvenation of the lines, whether you're talking about the Nairobi to Nanyuki line or the Nairobi to Kisumu line, they have lied in disuse for more than 20 years. Do we have a business and an economic case to invest in these systems or old networks, and ensure that they are economically viable?
Let me start by telling you, number one, talk of Nanyuki and Thika Nanyuki line, very viable line. As we talk today, I'm moving fuel to Nanyuki. And every day and every week we are moving about 18 tanks of fuel, each tank carry about 49,000 liters of fuel. When you look at that, it's almost 900,000 liters. What is that? It's something that has not been taking place. And that is a lot of business that has been lying idle. We have been having those lorries moving along our roads from Nairobi, from Mombasa, all the way to Nanyuki. Now we are able to replace around 40 trucks daily from the road.
Because of idle operations, a lot of your land along these stretches, now lies in private hands. Of course, this is going to be a challenge for Kenya Railways, trying to reclaim this land. What do you plan to do about this?
There's no challenge in reclaiming government land. And if you want to prove
there are legal issues, there are legal disputes.
I just want to tell you, if you want to check in Nanyuki line, go along that and see what we have fenced, what we have taken back. Our corridor is intact. And by the way, anybody who is in Kenya Railways land and is illegally there, I just want to admonish them to start preparing to leave.
As we wind up, after you have done all these investments, will you still be charging Nairobians what you've been charging them, or they should expect some difference?
We are yet to say we are charging or will be charging more money, but looking at what we are doing, I don't think there will be much drastic change in what we have been charging compared to what we are going to charge when we have all these rehabilitation programs and the new equipment coming on board, and these are multiple units. Of course, we'll have fares. What I suggest will be important for us is to have a convenient way on which Kenyans can book their tickets, move across the city without being inconvenienced. And above all, let me say, looking at the master plan and what we have, the integration system that we are doing, that the government is carrying out on the railway systems, is something that is going to lower the cost of doing business, the cost of movement of people, and also is going to spur economic growth for this country.
Good. Thank you so much indeed for your time. We look forward to having more of these discussions in the future.
Very much welcome. Asante sana.
Philip Mainga is the Managing Director of Kenya Railways Corporation, joining us tonight to explain to us the future of railway transport, not only in the city of Nairobi, but in the entire country. And of course, you have heard it from him. My name is Kimani. Thank you so much for your time. You have been watching Inside Government. Asante.